Yo, we got the biggest geeky looking billionaire, Alex Hormozi, telling us we can make our first 100K in 2026.
$42 million in distributions, a $46.2 million exit, $106 million.
So this is something I don't understand about this guy, bro. He always be claiming to make all this amount of money, all these millions and millions of dollars. But how the fuck you gonna turn out to get the Guinness World Record dressed like a fucking homeless man? What is this? Nigga wearing a fucking tank tops, which cost like $2, and got a shirt, which cost like $5, and shorts and a fucking cap. What is this? What is this, Hormozi? This guy give me the vibes of the FTX billionaire. You know the FTX guy? The one who was like, yo, I got $22 billion in the bank. I still drive a Toyota. I wanna be simple. I wanna... Like, that's very suspicious, bro. Maybe you wanna be relatable, but maybe I see that and I'm like, yo, I can't trust this nigga, bro. Like, how you got all this amount of money and you don't have nice things? How? How? Everybody like nice things. We love nice women. We love nice cars. We love nice clothes. Why don't you got one if you that rich? If you get the access, why not? That's suspicious, bro. You guys may be like, Gael down playing Hormozi now. I'm like, bro, you make 100 M's in a week. Like, what the fuck? Why dress up like that? Crazy.
$106 million in a weekend. Most people hear those numbers and think, oh, that's probably when he felt the richest. That's actually not the truth. The moment that I felt the wealthiest in my entire life was when I had $100,000 in my bank account. That was the
Yo, how much money do you guys need to be wealthy, to consider yourself wealthy?
first big unlock for me as a person. And the reason is before that, I was sleeping on a gym floor and doing math on whether I could afford groceries, right? And once I had
My guy, you still look like you still haven't touched 100 grand, bro. What do you mean?
$100,000, that was when I stopped having to worry about tomorrow, right? About paying rent, about paying dues, about paying my cell phone bill, or paying my car insurance. You can't think about your long-term vision if you're trying to pay rent, right? That's just real.
Man, that's crazy, though. You still think about your vision? What you mean, bro? Maybe with that beard, you can never think about it. I swear to God, nigga look fucking homeless, bro. Like, you still got that beard, you know? You know when somebody got a lot of hair and a lot of beard? That's the number one sign. Niggas, they are still broke. They still can't afford the barber on a week-to-week basis.
So in this video, I want to give you a 6-step roadmap as clear as humanly possible to making
Shall we stop yapping after this time?
and banking your first $100,000. If you're a big baller business owner, then you can skip this one. But if you don't
That's when we skip, yo. See you guys tomorrow, chat.
have that yet, then this is just a pure give on my part of trying to help you get there. The first step is that we have to cut all costs so that we can take more risk. When I say all costs, I mean all costs. That means you don't eat out anymore for anything. And if you're hungry, you deal with it. And if it's not from a discount grocery store, you don't buy it. Clothing?
Obviously, you're gonna tell us to wear some cheap clothes. Obviously. Not surprised. Alex Hormozi, do you see the way you look like, gang? Obviously, that's what you're gonna tell me. So this nigga tell us to be poor. To look poor. To eat shit. I swear to God, as soon as this nigga gonna tell us to go in a forest, get some leaves, and come and cook it so we save the money. That's crazy. That's stupidity, bro.
Like, what you have right now on your back is everything you need for the next 2 years. Period. No exceptions. Just keep reusing it. Trade or go to Goodwill. You go to work.
Goodwill, bro. Come on, Hormozi. What the fuck? So this is the reason why I never take advice from people who don't want to be like. I don't want to look like Hormozi, bro. Come on. I never heard anybody say I want to look like Alex Hormozi, bro. Nobody want to have 100 millions in the bank. Still get dressed up like this, bro. I swear to God. Right now I'm in my bed, but I'm dressed up better than this nigga right now. I'm just naked, bro. Come on.
You go home, and home is ideally with your family, or worst case, with another family also trying to make it and save. And it's got
That's crazy, though.
to be as cheap as you possibly can. And I say this as somebody who lived through this. When I was beginning my journey, I was splitting a bedroom in a 6-bedroom house with one guy, just in that bedroom, as in like every night we'd stare at each other and so I'd be like, good night, John. And he'd be like, good night, Alex. And I'd blow out my candle.
That's not funny, bro. That's not funny.
Everything about that was true minus the candle. And pro tip, if you sleep with a fan on your face, you can't hear anything. So, you know, if you have to deal with it, that's one way to do it. But I had roommates that I was paying like $300 or $400 a month for a very long time while I was beginning my business and started to actually make real money, and I still stayed there. Now, the next thing is gonna be your car. So if we think about expenses, ideally a paid off clunker is the best way to go. If you can't, you want it to be as cheap as humanly possible, but
Why would you get a cheap car? Get a scooter. Now, why would you get a scooter? Walk. Walk, be a man. Save the money. Now, this is stupid. Okay, no. This is lovely. I love what Hormozi is giving us. This is crazy advice. I will give this to my son as well.
Ideally, just pay off your car so you don't have to think about it again. All right, so that covers your food, your car, your shelter. And the reason that this is so important for us to basically stack up this cash flow, because you're working and making money, but right now you're probably spending all of it. So it's like we need to decrease it from the downside so we have this cash flow, this fluff that we can start spending and reinvesting in getting more skills, which I'll talk about in a second. All right, real quick, if you're on this path to your first $100,000, and so if you work
Save time, that's the next one.
a 9-to-5 job, this is kind of just the reality of it. Your 9-to-5 job is not killing your dreams. All right, so just stop subscribing to that. You're wasting the 2 4-hour chunks of the day that you do have available to you, which is your 5 to 9 in the morning and your 5 to 9 at night. So what you want to be doing is, instead of just like mindlessly doom scrolling through life, right? Instead, you're like, I have 4 hours before I have to go to work. Right now, if you work remotely, even better, because you can be more efficient with it. If you're not remote, then it might be 3.5 hours, or you just wake up earlier. And I also say this as someone who did this, right? The reason that this whole I wake up early in the morning became a thing for me was because that was the only time I could get ahead. And so I very much believe in Kobe Bryant's perspective on this. It's like, if everyone else is going to practice, he's like, well, if I do 2 extra practices a day, I'm going to move forward 3 times faster. And so 1 is we got our money back. 2, we got our time back. Now that we have our time back, we need to minimize the distractions in that time period, because focus is achieved not through addition, but subtraction. When you remove everything else that doesn't matter.
That's a fact, though.
When you remove everything else that doesn't matter, focus is what's left. Now, if you happen to be if you're on your path right now, so let's say that you're not at job, so you started a business, but it's not making as much as you want, and you don't have the 100K in savings. Let me just give you the simplest formula that I had. This is kind of like the 2.0 version, which is a 4-4-4 split. So if you're at 9 to 5, then you got 5 to 9 and 5 to 9. If you don't have a 9 to 5 during the day that you got to go to, then I like to do 4 hours of promotion. First thing I do when I get up is let people know about my stuff. Because if nobody knows about your stuff, they can't give you money. The second 4-hour chunk is delivery. So you give the people that gave you money what you promised them. The third 4-hour chunk is building. So this is building the future, figuring out what to do next and how to do it. This is a combination of 2 things. It's going to be the curation of opportunities.
That's a fact, though.
It's like, what are all the things that are out there? I have to see them, find them. And then the second is the prioritization of those. Okay, there's 10 things I could do. This one thing is going to get me the highest return. This is what I'm going to prioritize my time and money towards. So big picture, you promote, you deliver, and you build. That's what you do with your time. Now, regardless of what job or business you have, if you want to save time, you need to understand this concept, which is understanding whether you are a maker or a manager. A maker is when you're in the build mode. This is when you're completely locked in. You're like, no distractions. I have to go learn stuff. I have to go write copy. I have to go edit videos. I have to go make content. I have to go build this template that I'm going to sell to my customers, whatever. Manager is when you're interacting with other people. Now, that could be client calls. That could be team calls. That could be vendor calls, any kind of conversations that you have to have, Slack messages, whatever. The thing is that managers, their perfectly productive day is no blink time, right? It's 5-minute chunks, and you're just trying to have as many touch points and decisions as possible. A maker, a perfectly productive day is a completely empty calendar. So I don't know if you're anything like me. When I look at my calendar, I truly have nothing on it. I feel 1, this immense sense of relief, and 2, this huge amount of energy of possibility. Like, what big thing can I get done today? And that's when I really move the ball forward. And I'm telling you, that life hack of—
Yo, wait, we saw the video. I was hitting the guy about right now. God damn. Nigga spitting garbage stuff right now. I like that.
All hacks. A single habit that has changed my output was having my first 4 to 6 hours of my day to myself. So when you're in that maker manager decision mode, I like to block at the micro level, my day is maker time, manager time, and then keep them separated, because the biggest killer of productivity is task switching, right? So if you're trying to make and then you're slacking and then you're making and then you're texting, you're screwed, right? So instead, you just have to put the blinders onto your maker period. And then when you're in the manager period, it's like, go for it. Just be distracted and know that that's like the rest of your day is screwed. And I accept that. Like for me, Mondays are my day that I'm a manager, and the rest of the week, I try to do my absolute best to be a maker. Now that we have the money saved up and we got some cash, we drove down our living expenses, we drove down our time expenses, so we have free time, and we're organizing it well, and we're focused and productive during that time period. What do we do at the time? 3, which is research a skill that people already pay money for. And this is a key part. What you want to do.
Okay, I like that.
Especially if you're like, I need to make more than I am right now, go find what people are already paying for. All right. So on a B2C side, you look at all the things that a business does, right? So a business gets advertises. So they make content, they do outreach. There's the funnel building process that's associated with that. All of those things, each of those are skills that on their own, you could go build yourself $1 million plus business off of. Just one of those. And so that's just on a B2B side as an example. On the B2C side, here's a very easy hack. Just print out your credit card statement or your bank statement and look at what you actually spend money on. So just think when you're selling to consumers, I'm going to give them time back that they otherwise wouldn't have. And for business owners, you're giving them money that they otherwise wouldn't have. But don't get overwhelmed with the zillion things that you can learn there. Pick one. And so I have a 1-1-1 rule, which is you want to sell one product or service to one avatar on one channel until you make $1 million. That's it. So we saved our money, we saved our time, and then we researched the skill.
Why does this nigga love to keep going back in circles, bro? I really love that. That's not boring. That's the most inspiring, entertaining stuff. Keep saying what you said. I love that. Let me start doing it. Why this guy love to keep going in circles? Oh my God, that's the most entertaining stuff. The most entertaining. This is never boring. If you're getting bored for this guy going in circles, you'll be like those guys asking, why does nigga love going in circles? Like, bro, come on. Come on.
People are already paying for today. That leads us to number 4. Spend time learning. All right. So
spend time learning. This. That's a fact. Spend time learning.
First of all, it's important that you understand what learning is if we're going to say what it means. So I say this because a lot of people spend their time trying to learn or sitting in front of a computer or listening to podcasts or whatever, but it doesn't actually change behavior, which ding, 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 that is the definition of learning, which is same condition, new behavior. If you're in the same condition, meaning you're in the same bedroom, you're looking at the same computer, and what you're doing every day is not changing, you are not learning. So use that as the simplest litmus test for understanding whether the content that you are consuming is valuable. If you cannot translate it, or the person who's teaching you, whoever it is, me or anyone, into what do I do now? So there's this big thing, Malcolm Gladwell talked about 10,000 hours is this common theme, which is it's not 10,000 hours, but 10,000 iterations. And the reason I like that framing is because it assumes that you will fail and it assumes that you will get better as you learn, right? It is that 10,000 iterations is a proxy for feedback loops, which means that if you do something and you get no feedback, it's virtually impossible to learn. So when we are doing stuff in the real world, a lot of times the real world will give you a feedback loop, but you post a piece of content, nothing happens. That is still feedback. It's that it sucked, right? But you can still get better.
Yeah, that is true.
The fastest way to learn skills is to find somebody who's really good and hire them one-on-one. Fastest way to learn skills. I still did this in my early days, even when I barely could afford it. So when I say I learn with first-party data, I give you a handful of examples, but this is a do this instruction list. So number 1, you have to do a lot of volume in order to learn, right? I can't just have one sales call recording. I have just one comment that I try and learn from. I have to have lots of comments that I have to aggregate. I have to put them together. Number 2 is that I analyze the top 10%. So what are the top 10% of sales calls? What are the top 10% of content? What are the top 10, customer service resolution, person? What are these top 10% outcomes? What do they have in common that the other 90% don't have? And you can apply this to any subject matter that you're trying to learn. So that is step 3. You analyze the difference. Step 4 is you figure out the most important details, like the eyes, like the feet, like the whatever. And this is where a lot of people struggle, is that they don't know which part is important. And that's part of learning, is that you're like, there's 6 differences. I don't know which one.
Now lie to you. This guy is saying some really nice things, bro. I don't care whatever you say. This is nice.
Was the reason, so you start trying them one at a time. It just is what it is. And so the final step is avoid the mistakes that the 90% is making that are keeping them at the bottom, and do more of the stuff at the top 10%. And you just continue to do another 100 repetitions, look at the top 10, try and make the next 100 look like those 10, and do it over and over and over again until people are like, man, you're so good at this, you must be a natural. And that is fundamentally how you learn any skill. We saved our money so we could get aggressive. We saved our time so we'd have time to actually do the work. We researched which skills to learn. Then we spent our time actually learning, and we walked through exactly what those 10,000 iterations look like. So what do we do now? Step 5 is you spend the money in the right places. So I think of this.
This is the best thing I ever heard. Nobody ever say that. I didn't know that's the way to get better. Wait, I need to spend my money in the better places? Damn! That's a bar, Hormozi. I like that. I love that, actually.
So what do we do now? Step 5 is you spend the money in the right places. So I think of this in 3 bigger buckets. You've got tools, you've got implementation help, and then you've got trial attempts. So think about that as like, where am I going to spend this time and money? Because you actually have to do this in order to get out. Like if you're just like, okay, I'm saving my time, saving money, you're not gonna get to 100K, right? Like you have to do stuff too. So for tools, that might mean that you might buy a software too, right? That might mean like a CRM or a landing page thing or school. It's $9 a month, right? Like chill, all right? To get started. Right? Because for you to, like, the alternative is you could try to rebuild the entire thing, yeah, or you could just like go to grab a tool that's already there, save yourself some time. So that's what kind of tools looks like. Implementation, this is where you can buy courses, you can buy communities on school if you're looking to learn anything. You can get tutoring, which I'm a huge advocate of, and for some reason this is like fallen out of vogue. But if you can get someone to just give you one-on-one help, my God, it's so valuable. The next is trial attempts. So that means like, okay, I want to start running ads. Okay, great. Well, you got to spend money on ads. Or like, hey, I want to start, making content. You're gonna have to spend money on maybe some of the editing software that goes with that. Like, of course, there are free things and be as cheap as possible, but accept that some of these things are kind of minor investments that will give you huge leverage on your time. So the last step and the whole point of all this is to just increase your active income. People look at the billionaires and they're like, oh, they live on passive income. What people miss is that most billionaires who are self-made made their money from making money, meaning they had active income. They had monster active income that they could deploy. Like, you get rewarded for the risk you take on. You cannot take any risk on if you have no time and no money. So you need to go find that risk, create something that you can put at risk so that you can get rewarded for it. And we do that through increasing our skill sets and our active income. And so you're like, okay, well, those are the 5 steps. So what's the last step? Number 6, do not increase your lifestyle. All right, I know guys who are making $40,000 a month.
I went through all that shit, living under the bridge, eating leaves, walking to work, get my first 100K, and the only reward I get to not even increase my fucking lifestyle. I gotta keep slipping that bridge because our Hormozi said so. Nah, I was agreeing with him, every single thing he was saying, but what you mean I'm not gonna increase my lifestyle? I'm gonna increase that shit. I'm gonna drive a better car, move in a better apartment, get that sense of being rich. What are you talking about?
Do not increase your lifestyle. All right, I know guys who are making $40,000 a month and made it for years, great sales guys, and spent every single dollar. I've got multiple friends who didn't start saving money until their 40s. And they were like, oh my God, I can't believe I just like lived that way, right? You wanna be rich, not look rich, right? This is about 100K in the—
You look homeless! You look homeless! That's why I don't trust you. Everyone like nice things. Why don't you have nice things if you make all this money? That's why I was giving FTX once again. That's why I might give you that guy, the Binance billionaire. That nigga say, oh, I made all this amount of money. But you look like a geek. I don't want to be like you.
Just like live that way, right? You want to be rich, not look rich, right? This is about 100K in the bank, not 100K in revenue. Everything minus food and shelter is your profit. I say this as once things started working out for my gym, my first gym, I was making about $20,000 a month in income, personal. I was still splitting the room, paying $400 a month in rent. Because I was like, well, dude, I need to say, like, my goal was not to stop at $20,000 a month. I was like, I want to go big. And I'm going to need all this cash to open a new location, to learn more stuff, to attend more conferences, all of this stuff because I wanted to learn. And so basically the day that you stop spending money on learning is the day you decide that you do not want to make more. And so zooming all the way out, the 6 steps to getting your first $100,000. You got to stop spending money so you have money to spend on the right stuff. You got to stop wasting time so that you have time to invest in the right stuff. What stuff do you invest in? Number 3 is you have to research. You got to pick, you got to look. And the best way to look is not to risk it on something that you don't know, but find stuff people are already spending money on. The 4th is now that we know the thing that we're going to focus on, we're going to eliminate all the other distraction and we're going to spend all our time learning. Number 5, the money that you do have, you want to spend on tools, implementation help, and attempts, trying it and failing.
Trials.
And then finally, once things actually start working, you'd never get to the 100K in a bank account just by increasing your income. You also got to not let your lifestyle take back over so you can finally bank it. And the reason this is so kind of near and dear to my heart is that when I had the first 100K was the...
But yo, even though I say a lot of bad things, this guy is actually genuine though. Genuine. Yeah, I believe what he says, what he really believes in. And you know, I actually love Hormozi, y'all. No hate, bro.
First time that, I remember looking at Layla and I was like, we did it. I said, we could do nothing and fuck off for 3.5 years. And it was crazy because like, I think about that now, right? 2 people, $100,000 in savings, 3 years. And I wasn't thinking about it in terms of investments or anything like that. I just knew that I didn't have to worry about rent. I didn't have to worry about food. And that was when I was able to really start thinking long-term. And so I want as many people as possible to get that point because many of you have bigger dreams than that. But you can't get there until you pass this checkpoint. Like it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like until you're not thinking about food and shelter, it's amazing to want to change the world. But if you got to pay rent tomorrow, you got to pay rent tomorrow. Right? And so this is the plan to help you do that.
I give this video a good 9 out of 10. Give me another video I'm gonna react to the next time, yo. We outside. We outside.